Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. You know, there's a few things in life that are as enjoyable as seeing establishment shill fake news journalists getting absolutely BTFO'd. And it's kind of the sad part of no longer having Trump as president. That seemed to be a daily occurrence. Almost a daily occurrence. Then Kayleigh McEnany came on the scene, and it certainly was a daily occurrence. Non-stop volleyball spikes right back into the White House press corps. Then Ron DeSantis kind of disappeared, deciding to run for president and become just another Jeb, exclamation mark. He hasn't exactly been present in Florida lately. The media hasn't focused on him as they used to, and so we don't have those Ron DeSantis moments either. And so we're missing these interactions. And that's where, interestingly enough, the Canadian Conservative Party leader, Pierre Poilievre, that's where he comes in to save the day. Going viral for multiple of his interactions with fake news mainstream media shills. There was that one moment that we covered in front of the gas station, the mega viral moment in the apple orchard that seemingly everyone across the globe in all conservative circles was talking about and reporting on. And now we have this. Another moment, which I think perfectly exemplifies, it's the perfect image showing us the dynamic, the archetypes, the stereotypes between badass conservative politicians and the slanderous fake news leftist mainstream media puppets. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so Justin Trudeau's worst nightmare continues to take the internet by storm. And you know what I love about this new conservative movement that's seemingly picking up across the Western world? No longer are we dealing with the mainstream media. No longer are we dealing with the slanderous press with kid gloves. This is the Trump effect.
Hi, Paula Loregio with the Canadian Press. Et si vous pouviez répondre dans les deux langues officielles, je l'apprécierais beaucoup.
Do you think it was responsible for you to call yesterday's explosion by the checkpoint at the Rainbow Bridge terrorism when no U.S. or Canadian officials said that was or authorities said that was the case, and when the New York governor also said there was no evidence to suggest terrorism activity?
Actually, you're wrong. You're a CP? Okay, so CP, by the way, CP, just for everyone's knowledge, did have to make 3 corrections for falsehoods that they put into a single article. I think that might be unprecedented. I'm actually thinking about checking with the Guinness Book of World Records to see if there's ever been a news agency that has had to issue 3 corrections for patent falsehoods that they admit they had been made in one single article, and now you've made yet another falsehood in your question. Where you are wrong is that CTV reported that the government of Canada was presuming that the incident was terrorist. So, yeah, that's what I said in my remarks. You're right. It was a media report.
But it's citing media reports and not...
Which is what I said. In the House, I said there are media reports.
And you think that's a responsible thing to go on, to make that kind of a statement at the time without speaking?
What kind of statement?
Calling something terrorist.
I didn't. I said there were media reports.
That's the distinction we're making? Okay.
No, there's no distinction. What I said, and I was right, was that there were media reports of a terror-related event. By your admission, there were media reports of a terror-related event. And that media report, according to CTV, unless you're questioning their integrity now, came from security officials in the Trudeau government. So do you think the CTV was irresponsible in putting out that tweet?
Do you think it was a responsible comment to make in the House of Commons?
Sorry, I'm asking, I have already answered that. Do you think CTV was irresponsible to put that tweet out?
That's none of my business. That's not for me to comment.
Well, you just did comment. Okay. So, I just hope you're not going to print something that you have to apologize for again.
Okay. I'm dubbing it the Trump effect because Trump was really the first person to do it right. Trump was the first person to say, you know what? You don't have to capitulate to the mainstream media and their control tactics. You don't have to fall in line because you're too scared they're going to start attempting to destroy your name, your brand, and reputation. All you got to do is stand up for yourself. Trump was the first person to do it, and now we're seeing it across the board. For too long, we've seen conservative politicians cower, capitulate concede, secede ground, too scared to deal with the media-manufactured outrage. Well, now the strategy seems to be to tell them to take a hike, say you are fake news, bring the receipts, and walk away with a massive W. I love it. This is what we should have been doing all along. Oh, but it's not professional. Yeah, is being a filthy propagandist professional, ethical, defensible? Absolutely not. You have these fake news left-wing journalists who, by the way, all look the frickin' same with pronouns in their bio, the little hipster cap and the white and black nail polish, the embodiment of a female midlife crisis, these little media gremlins constantly pushing bogus narratives, taking your words and twisting them and then claiming you said something that you didn't. In this instance, she claims that the Canadian Conservative leader jumped the gun, jumped to conclusions without the facts, labeling the automobile explosion that happened on the US-Canada border as a terrorist attack. The assumption is, of course, he's a far-right bigot attempting to fearmonger about migrants and the threat of terrorism in the Western world. No, he's a politician who is responding to reports after a potential horrific act was committed, where he mentioned those reports as, wait for it, reports. Yet no matter how much he says that, the fake news propagandist will continue to push and double down. Why did you say these horribly wrong things? How could you get it wrong? He then points out the glaring hypocrisy here. Who the hell are you, fake news journalist, working for fake news liberal propaganda outlet, to lecture literally anybody on getting a story wrong or presenting information incorrectly, when the organization that person worked for had to issue 3 corrections in a single article, which he argues might be a record. Although, to be honest, I highly doubt that that's a record, especially when looking at the global landscape of fake news leftist journalism. You know, these are the people that are lecturing us about misinformation and getting stories wrong. Give me a frickin' break. I mean, come on. We can see right through it. You know, they're so incredibly dishonest and manipulative. They love to portray themselves as fact-based journalists, just attempting to get to the bottom, attempting to get to the facts. But it's so clear. I mean, the writing's on the wall. We see what they're attempting to do. They're attempting to attack and smear the thriving, surging conservative politician as Justin Trudeau's political support collapses like never seen before. They're in a state of absolute sheer panic. And so, of course, they'll do anything to stop him. And of course, their strategy, using their leftist publications to help push and promote liberal talking points. Pierre Poilievre lied about a thing, even though it's the journalist who got the facts incorrect, and it's the journalist who works for an organization that has a history of lying and spreading misinformation. But it doesn't matter, because the journalists set the narrative and then the politicians follow in line. The mainstream media writes the fake report, and then liberals run with the narrative, already attacking the Canadian Conservative leader on the same exact dishonest talking point.
Instead of taking a step back and asking what is going on, demonstrating calm and leadership and reassurance to Canadians, he immediately jumped to the conclusion that this was a terrorist attack without any knowledge or information that this was the case.
That's one of Justin Trudeau's little lackeys taking the narrative and running with it. It's the same thing, isn't it? It's the same thing that you see in the United States. It's the same thing that you see across the Western world. You have mainstream media, fake news lackeys who set the narrative, and then you have the politicians who push the narrative. And what's funny, or what's kind of ironic in a way, is that this whole supposed controversy about the Canadian Conservative leader revolves around him promoting fake news or jumping to conclusions when all he did was mention a media report. So it seems as though, once again, the media is at the core of the problem again. It seems as though the problem is less the conservative leader and more dishonest journalist hacks who write bad stories. It's almost as if it all comes full circle. It's the same everywhere. They're a bunch of government lackey smear merchants. That's who these journalists are. They're the same across the Western world. They're the same going back analyzing world history. They're the state powers propagandists. And there's only one way to deal with them, and that's the Trump method.
You are fake news.
Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.